Hello, everyone. Tonight we begin in a quiet place, one that you may have forgotten, but which has never forgotten you. Imagine a wide open space. No walls, no names, no roles, no expectations. Just you, sitting still listening to the hush of the world settling into night. Somewhere beyond memory, beyond your earliest moments, there was a time before anyone called your name. The truth is, no child is born with a name. It is spoken to you. It is placed upon you softly at first, then firmly, over and over, until it becomes the sound you answer to. A name can be beautiful. A name can carry love, but it is not you. This may be hard to take in at first. Most of us carry our name like a second skin stitched to everything we do. But tonight I invite you to gently loosen that stitching, just a little. We are not tearing anything apart. We are simply wondering softly, who were you before the world named you? This is not a question for the mind to solve. It is a doorway, a path that begins not in thinking, but in listening. So before you get too comfortable, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And if you're open to sharing, let me know where you're listening from and what time it is in your part of the world. I love knowing how far this calm ripple travels. Now turn off the lights, maybe turn on a fan for some gentle noise, and let's embark on tonight's journey together. You see, even the name, you is not your own. It's a placeholder in a language built long before you arrived. And yet, you are here. Real, breathing, aware. There is something deeper than all these words that knows life is flowing through you. Think of a tree. We might say, that's an oak. But before the word oak, what was it? It didn't call itself anything. It simply grew toward the sun, stretched into the wind, let go of its leaves. It lived, just like you before the name. You were not born with should or must. You did not arrive with dreams of becoming someone impressive. You came here with breath, with openness, with the unshaped presence that simply was. Somewhere along the way, the world began to tell you who you were. You're clever, maybe, or you're too quiet. You're a girl. You're a boy. You're this family's hope. Or maybe you're a burden. Words stacked upon words until they became the story you told yourself every day. But just for now, let that story rest. What if you were not your story? What if the soft breathing awareness, listening right now, was the real you, the one who has watched every name come and go, the one who has felt joy rise and fade, the one who has wept in the dark and laughed in the sun, but remained unchanged beneath it all? The Buddha once told a story of a man who wandered for years, searching for a precious treasure, not knowing it was sewn into the hem of his own robe. In the same way, we often search outside for who we are, forgetting that we already are. You don't have to become someone. You don't have to prove anything tonight. You are enough in this stillness, enough in this breath. As we settle deeper into this reflection, you might notice a quiet resistance. The mind wants to cling to something, a label, a role, a memory. That's okay. You don't have to fight it. Just watch, like waves returning to the ocean. It's not about removing your name or forgetting who you are in daily life. It's about remembering that underneath it all, you were already whole before any word ever touched you. The breath knows this. It comes and goes without needing to be called. So tonight, we sit with that breath. We sit with the space before the name. We sit with the presence before the performance. Nothing to hold, nothing to fix, just being. Let the world of definitions and demands grow softer in the background. Let the stories fade like footprints in the sand. Right now, you are not your name. You are not your job. You are not even your thoughts. You are simply here, aware, still, whole. Let yourself be held in that truth. Let yourself float in the gentle quiet of not knowing, not seeking, just being. This is the beginning of returning not to something new, but to something ancient, something untouched. Tonight we walk slowly toward that return, and it begins with this question, like a pebble dropped into a still pond. Who were you before the world named you? You came into this world not with words, but with breath. A tiny inhale, a cry, the air meeting your lungs for the first time. And before even that first breath, before any sound escaped your lips, there was only silence, stillness, being. Then the world began to arrive. Not all at once, but like gentle waves, one after the other. The first touch, a lullaby sung low. The way someone smiled or didn't smile when they looked at you. The world begins shaping you far earlier than memory can record. You don't even know it's happening. But slowly sounds become meaning. Faces become mirrors. And without knowing how or why, you begin to sense that some things bring love and others bring distance. The earliest conditioning doesn't feel like a lesson. It feels like safety or fear, warmth or absence. A quiet echo in your body says, "This is good. This is not," long before you could speak, long before your own thoughts took form. The world had already started whispering to you who you were supposed to be. You were shaped by tone of voice, by the patterns of caretaking. You learned when it was safe to cry and when it wasn't. You learned which parts of yourself to bring forward and which to quietly hide away. The Buddha once said, "All that we are is the result of what we have thought." But what of the thoughts planted before we could choose them? Tonight we gently reflect on those early whispers, not to judge, not to rewrite history, but simply to see. Because seeing is the beginning of freedom. Imagine a child growing up in a house where silence is safer than speech. That child doesn't choose silence, silence chooses them. And yet years later, they may believe, "I am shy. I am not good with people." When in truth, the soul beneath that silence might be luminous and vast, just waiting to be seen. Do you remember when you first noticed what the world seemed to want from you? Maybe it was when you were praised for being quiet, or scolded for being too much. Maybe someone laughed at the way you danced, or told you to toughen up, stop crying, act your age. Each of these moments leaves a small mark, nothing harsh, just a shaping, a soft folding inward, a changing of posture, not just of body, but of spirit. And slowly, a version of you begins to form. It's made of other people's impressions, hopes, fears, reactions. You begin to say, "This is me." But is it? Or is it a collection of reflections? When a mirror reflects you, you might forget it is not your true face. But it can only show what stands in front of it, not who you are within. Tonight, we sit beside that mirror. We watch the reflections come and go, and we begin to remember the one who watches, the one who was here before the stories, before the conditioning, before the roles. There's a Zen story about a student who came to a master and asked, "How can I return to my original nature?" The master replied, "Who told you that you ever left it? It's a soft reminder the world may try to define you, but your essence has never changed. You were never separate from the truth, only covered, not lost, only asleep. Even now, beneath the surface noise, that essence breathes in you, like a mountain beneath the clouds, like the moon behind the drifting mist. You do not need to change to return. You only need to see. And so we begin to see how the sounds of the world arrived early, how they entered like raindrops into soil, how they grew into beliefs that we wear like skin. But skin can be shed, like a snake leaves behind what no longer fits, not in anger, not in haste, but in the quiet understanding, this was never really me. Can you recall the first time you felt small, not because of size, but because of judgment? Can you remember the moment you started editing yourself? These are quiet pivot points. They often go unnoticed, but each one pulls you slightly away from that center. Yet the center never leaves. It is like a candle placed at the heart of a dark room. You may turn away. You may forget. But the light remains. And now, slowly, gently, you turn back toward it. With each breath, with each word you turn. You do not need to rush. Nothing is missing. In the silence between these sentences, listen. Can you feel something beneath the thoughts? Not a concept, not a name, just a living awareness. Soft, steady, watching. This is not the self the world named. This is not the personality sculpted by praise and punishment. This is you before sound, before the world, before any name. Just being, just here, still, unchanging. Let yourself return to that. Let it meet you now, like a gentle wave returning home. You are still here, breathing, listening, softly returning. And as you return, you begin to notice something. The mind is not just made of your own voice. It echoes with others, teachers, parents, friends, strangers, people you admired, people who misunderstood you, people who praised, people who shamed. Their words live on in fragments, some sharp, some kind all-powerful. The mirror of approval and rejection is polished early in life, and we begin to shape ourselves not by inner truth, but by outer reaction. You learn quickly that smiles feel good, frowns bring fear, silence can sting. When someone claps for you, you want to repeat what brought it. When someone turns away, you begin to question what's wrong with me. The Buddha spoke often about attachment. We usually think of clinging to objects or people, but perhaps one of the deepest attachments is to being approved of, to being seen a certain way, to being someone who is accepted, liked, admired, even if it means hiding your truth. And so you learn to perform. You become the version of yourself that brings warmth, or avoids harm, or fits neatly into the script others wrote long before you knew how to read. This isn't wrong. It's human. It's gentle. It's even loving in its own way. You shaped yourself to survive, to be safe, to belong. But the cost, slow forgetting. Not of facts, but of your own presence, your own voice. Somewhere the real you, the you before the world named you, began to step back, watching, waiting, letting the mask take center stage. Do you remember a moment when you were truly yourself and someone rejected you? Maybe you cried at something small and they laughed. Maybe you were honest and it was used against you. In that moment, a quiet promise may have been made, I won't show that part of me again. And a layer formed, a small wall. A part of you began to live in shadow. We all carry these inner exiles. Parts of ourselves we deemed unworthy, not by our nature, but by how they were received. And yet, they are still here, still waiting, still whole. The Buddha once taught that whatever is hidden will eventually come to light, not as a warning, but as a comfort. Nothing real is ever truly lost. These parts of you, sensitive, soft, unsure, are not mistakes. They are parts of your wholeness. And tonight, as we sit in this stillness together, we create a space for them. No one is watching. No one is judging. You don't have to be impressive. You don't have to be wise. You only have to be here. Let the old performances rest. Let the mirror crack. Because you are not here to be reflected. You are here to return. Think of a child spinning in the grass arms wide, not caring who is watching. That joy, that freedom, that was once yours. And it can be again. But first, we must notice the mirrors. Where do you still try to win love? Where do you still fear being misunderstood? These are the places where the mask still lingers. Let us breathe here softly. Inhale and exhale. You don't need to fix anything. Just notice. Notice the parts of you that long for approval. And with each breath, tell them gently, you are loved. Even now, especially now. There is a quiet revolution in not performing, in just sitting, breathing, being without needing to be seen in any particular light. You are not the reflection. You are the light itself, unshaped, unforced, clear. So tonight, in the stillness of your room, in the hush between thoughts, feel this you are allowed to be, without proving, without impressing, without hiding. The mirror is only glass, but you are sky. You are wind. You are the breath before the name. And in this moment, no one needs you to be anything. That is the most sacred ground. Let yourself stand upon it. Let yourself rest. Let yourself return to the self who was never lost, only waiting. You were still small when you learned your first roles. They didn't arrive with a grand announcement or a title card. They arrived in glances in silence, in the subtle tilt of someone's voice. They arrived in the moment you felt praised for doing something right, or subtly shamed for doing something wrong. And slowly you adjusted. You became the helper, the achiever, the quiet one, the good child, or perhaps the one who caused trouble, not because you wanted to, but because being seen in any way was better than being invisible. These roles weren't choices. They were responses. Responses to a world that rewarded some behaviors and punished others. Responses to love that felt conditional, even if never spoken aloud. It's not that anyone meant harm. It's simply what humans do. We adapt to stay close, to belong, to survive. But these roles over time become like clothing that you forget you're wearing. They begin to feel like you. You say, I'm just this way, without realizing that this way was shaped by thousands of small impressions, not by your essence. There's a story told in the Buddhist tradition about a prince who wandered away from his royal life and lived among beggars for years, never knowing he was of noble birth. One day, an old sage found him, looked into his eyes, and said, "You have forgotten who you are." The prince laughed at first. "I'm no one," he said. "I've always been like this." But slowly, the memories stirred, not of grandeur, not of ego, but of presence, of stillness, of truth. Tonight I wonder, what have you forgotten about yourself? What truth has been buried beneath the need to play a part? And what would happen if you simply let the part go? Not in anger, not with resistance, but like a leaf falling from a branch in autumn gracefully, naturally. We all wear masks, and most of them are soft. The smile we put on when we're tired. The nod when we disagree, but fear conflict. The silence when something inside longs to speak. Each one costs something, not immediately, but over time, we begin to feel the weight of it all. The mask becomes heavy, the role becomes tight, and something inside begins to whisper, there is more than this. You are not here to be an actor on someone else's stage. You are not here to fulfill someone else's vision of who you should be. You are here to remember. You are here to soften. You are here to return. Let's pause now and take a slow breath. Inhale and exhale. Feel the mask begin to loosen. You don't need it here. Not in this moment. You don't need to play the good one, or the wise one, or the quiet one. You only need to be. There is something sacred in simply sitting with yourself without judgment, without performance. That presence, still whole aware, is the part of you untouched by the world. It has no role. It needs no approval. It simply is. The Buddha once said, "Be a lamp unto yourself," not a spotlight to perform in, but a quiet glow that guides gently from within. That lamp is already lit in you. It's the awareness behind your eyes, the calm that arises when all noise fades, the whisper of truth that has always been there even when you couldn't hear it. And tonight, as the world grows quiet, you might just feel it again. A moment when you realize, I don't need to try anymore. I can just rest. I can just be. That is enough. That is more than enough. Because before the role, before the name, before the world arrived, there was you. Not the one shaped by time, not the one defined by others, but the original you, the one who breathes in stillness, the one who sees without judgment, the one who listens and simply knows. Let that one come forward now. Let the mask fall gently to your side. Let your shoulders soften. Let your breath slow. And remember, you are not the role you were taught. You are the space that holds all roles yet is not bound by any of them. You are the quiet behind the performance. You are the sky behind the cloud. You are home even now. There's a quiet moment that happens in many lives. It doesn't arrive with thunder or announcement. It arrives late at night or in the pause between responsibilities. In that moment, something inside whispers, I am tired of trying to be someone, not because you failed, but because the weight of I should be has grown too heavy. From early on, you were taught what to strive for. Be good, be kind, be successful, be strong, be polite, be better than you are. None of these are wrong, many are beautiful. But beneath them, a subtle message began to form. You are not enough as you are, and so you began to chase. Approval, success, beauty, wisdom. Whatever image you believed would finally make you feel at home in yourself. You chased it in grades, in jobs, in relationships, in self-improvement plans. But like chasing your own shadow, every time you thought you caught it, it slipped just ahead again. The Buddha once compared the mind to a monkey leaping from branch to branch, never settling. And this chase, the chase of becoming someone, is one of the monkey's favorite games. Tonight we pause that chase. Not forever, just now. Just long enough to ask, who told you that you had to become something? Who said that right now? As you are in this quiet, you are not already enough. There is a Dharma teaching that says, the mind left to itself returns to peace. just like muddy water, clears when left undisturbed. You don't have to become enlightened. You don't have to fix your past. You don't have to earn your place in the universe. You already belong. You are already part of the breath, the wind, the stillness, the moment. You always were. The burden of I should be is not a truth, it's a spell. And tonight, you are gently waking from it. Close your eyes now if you feel safe to do so, and take a breath with me. Inhale and exhale. Can you feel how even without effort you are still breathing, still here, still alive? There is nothing you have to hold up, no image to maintain, no impression to create. You do not need to be inspiring tonight. You do not need to be wise. You only need to be honest with yourself. And if honesty whispers, I'm tired, then let yourself be tired. If it whispers, I'm lost, then let yourself be lost. Because in that softness, the chase can end. And in the ending of that chase, something new begins. A return, a remembering, a quiet unfolding of what has always been there. It's like a flower that never stopped blooming. Only your eyes were looking elsewhere. It's like a sky that never turned dark. Only the clouds were thick. It's like the sound of a bell that was always ringing, but the noise around you was louder. And now the noise is quieting, because you're no longer trying to be someone. You're just being, just listening, just resting. Imagine now laying down the heavy bag of I should be. Imagine your hands opening, your shoulders relaxing, your breath deepening. And in that release, a soft truth arises. You were never broken. You were only carrying too much. Let it go, dear friend. You don't need it here. Let the striving rest. Let the expectations drift. You are not a project. You are not a performance. You are a being alive, aware, luminous in your own quiet way. And in this moment, nothing more is needed. No one to impress, nothing to prove. You are not what you should be. You are what is pure and present. Let that be enough. Let it be your rest. Let it be your return to yourself, to peace, to the you before any striving ever began. Sometimes it's not until something breaks that we finally stop and ask, what have I been chasing? There is a strange mercy hidden in collapse, not because suffering is beautiful, but because when everything falls, you can finally see what was underneath it all along. Have you ever had a moment where you just couldn't keep pretending? Where the mask slipped? Where the effort to hold it all together became too much? Maybe it was after a loss. Maybe it came quietly in a waiting room in a sleepless night, in the soft sadness of another birthday passing. Maybe you don't even know what caused it, only that something inside you finally whispered enough. That whisper, that still, tired honesty, is sacred. It is not the voice of failure. It is the voice of awakening. The Buddha taught that suffering is not the enemy. Suffering is the teacher that brings us to the edge of our illusions. It is in those moments of breaking that we begin to realize the identity we built, the one that looked so strong, was made of sand. Beautiful, yes. Necessary, maybe, but never permanent, never the whole truth. You see, sometimes we need things to fall apart so the truth can rise. Not a loud truth, not a heroic one, but the quiet truth of presence. The truth that says I'm still here, even when the roles vanish, even when the plans crumble, even when we are stripped of all the things that once defined us. I'm still here, and that here is not a location. It is an awareness, a breath, a simple, uncluttered being. Perhaps you've had such a moment in your life, a quiet breaking, where the old story no longer made sense and the new one hadn't arrived yet. That in-between space can feel like loss, but it can also feel like the first true breath you've taken in years. When you stop trying to be what you think you should be and start simply being. It is not always comfortable. The space between stories rarely is, but it is honest, and honesty is the beginning of peace. There's an old Zen saying, "When the bottom falls out, the ground is finally visible." And that ground, my friend, is who you've always been. Not the one who gets everything right, not the one who holds it all together, but the one who knows, the one who sees. And even when things fall, that awareness does not fall with them. You may cry, you may feel lost, you may even forget who you are, but awareness remains. Still, silent, patient, waiting for you to return. And in those moments of breaking, it gently says, "Come home." Not to an old identity, not to the one who kept performing, but to the one who breathes without needing to be seen. To the one who listens even in the dark. To the one who was always here before anything was broken. Tonight we hold space for that version of you. The version that doesn't need to be fixed. The version that doesn't need a name. You don't have to escape this moment. You don't have to rush to reassemble. Just sit. Just breathe. Just feel what is true. And if the tears come, let them come. If the silence stretches long, let it stretch. Because in the stillness after the collapse, a new kind of seeing is born. Not a seeing with the eyes, but with the heart. You begin to sense that even your pain belongs. Even your confusion is part of the path. Even your uncertainty is holy ground, because all of it is real. And reality is the first door to awakening. The Buddha's path was not built on perfection. It was built on presence, on sitting with the mess, on letting go of the illusion of control and trusting in the nature of things, that everything rises, everything falls, and something within you remains steady beneath it all. Tonight, you are invited to feel that steadiness, to rest in it, to remember that even when everything breaks, you are not broken. You are opening, like the sky after a long storm, clearer, wider, still here, still whole, still home. There's a moment recorded in the old texts, quiet, powerful, and easy to overlook. A man approached the Buddha full of agitation, full of questions. He asked, "Are you a god?" "A man, a saint." The Buddha looked at him calm, unmoving, and said only this, "I am awake." He did not claim a title. He did not define himself by name, by role, or by expectation. He simply was. This is one of the most beautiful moments in the Buddhist tradition, not because of the words themselves, but because of what lies behind them, a refusal to be caught in identity, even one wrapped in reverence. Imagine that. To stand in the presence of others and not rush to explain yourself. To no longer seek approval by shaping your image. To answer not from ego, not from the need to be understood, but from stillness. This is the power of resting in your true nature. The Buddha did not need to be called anything, because he knew no word could hold what he truly was, and neither can they hold you. Think of how often we label ourselves. I'm the quiet one. I'm not good enough. I'm a survivor. I'm spiritual. I'm a failure. I'm awakened. I'm behind. I'm broken. Each one a word trying to catch something vast. But before the label, before the belief, there is only being. You wake up. You breathe. You feel the breeze on your skin. You hear the night. And none of these require a name. The moment we stop chasing a label is the moment we start resting in reality. Not who we think we are, not who others say we are, but what remains when all names fall silent. In one story, a monk asked the Buddha, "What is your name in the great silence?" The Buddha did not answer. He simply smiled. Because the silence is not a place of information, it is a place of return. Return to what? To the one who sees without naming, to the one who listens without clinging, to the one who loves without conditions. Tonight, I invite you into that same silence, not to escape, not to become someone new, but to remember what is left when there is nothing to be. Close your eyes if you haven't already. Feel the breath. It enters. It leaves. It does not ask what you are. It simply flows. You don't need to be called anything to receive this breath. You don't need to hold a title to sit in this stillness. Let yourself be like the Buddha beneath the Bodhi tree, just here. Nothing added. Nothing removed. No identity necessary. The Buddha once remained silent when asked metaphysical questions, not because he didn't know, but because he knew something deeper. The moment we grasp at answers, we lose the question's sacredness. And the question tonight is not one to solve. It's one to rest into. Who are you before anyone names you? There's no need to answer. Just sit with it. Let it settle around you like a soft robe. Let it warm your heart. Let it bring you into presence. Here now. Let the words fall away. Let the roles dissolve. You don't need to be anything tonight. You don't even need to understand. Just be present. That is enough. More than enough. The Buddha once said, "When one sees, one is free." So tonight, we are simply seeing. Seeing the patterns. Seeing the old scripts. Seeing the deep silence beneath every role. And in that silence, peace. In that silence, truth. In that silence, you. The one who doesn't need a name to be real. The one who doesn't need to be anything to be loved. The one who simply is. Still. Awake. Here. Just like him. There is a phrase that comes from the ancient wisdom traditions of India. Two simple words that echo through time, soft as a whisper, clear as a bell, neti neti. Not this. Not that. This isn't a rejection. It's not a turning away in anger. It's a gentle peeling back of illusion. A sacred process of unlayering, of letting go. You look at your thoughts and softly say, "Not this." You notice your beliefs, your stories, the images of who you think you are, and you say, "Not that." It's not about denying yourself. It's about remembering yourself by setting down everything that isn't truly you. Imagine standing in a quiet room filled with mirrors. Each one reflects a version of you, smiling, worried, young, old, striving, ashamed, admired. You begin to walk past each one, and to every image you say, "Not this, not that." Not because the reflections are wrong, but because they are only partial. They are only reflections. They are not the space that holds them. They are not the silence watching. You are that space. You are the silence. Every role you've played, not this. Every fear you've held, not that. Every mask you've worn, even the beloved ones, not this. Every voice in your mind telling you what you must become, not that. And what remains presence? Awareness, stillness. That's the beauty of Neti Net. It doesn't give you an identity to hold. It offers you freedom from all identities. You don't become something. You return to the unchanging. The Buddha often used similar methods. He would say, "This body is not mine. These feelings are not mine. This perception, this consciousness, this form, none of it is me." Not to push anything away, but to free the mind from clinging. Imagine now softly letting go. Start with the thought of yourself as a success or a failure, whichever label you carry most often. Let it go. Not this, then the belief that you are your body, how it looks, how it feels today. Let it soften. Not that. Then the old stories, the ones where you weren't good enough, the ones where you had to fight to be seen. Feel them lift like leaves in the wind. Not this, not that. And slowly what remains is not empty. It is full. Full of space, full of breath, full of peace. There is a quiet joy in being nameless. Not anonymous, but spacious. Free. When the world stops pressing labels against your skin, you begin to feel your own texture again. And it is soft. And it is real. There's a beauty in living this way. You still have a name. You still do your work. You still smile when someone says hello. But something in you no longer clings. You wear the world like a loose robe. And underneath that robe is the self that no word can contain. The Buddha once said, "Just as a snake sheds its skin, so too must one discard what no longer serves the path." What no longer serves, friend, is the tight grip of identity. Not this, not that. Let your mind rest in that rhythm tonight. A soft chant in the background of awareness. Not this, not that, not the fear, not the name, not the need, not the shame. Only this breath, only this moment, only this stillness that asks for nothing but gives everything. You do not need to define yourself tonight. You do not need to achieve or explain or defend. You only need to breathe. And remember, you are not the thoughts. You are not the noise. You are not even the story you've told yourself 1,000 times. You are the stillness listening. You are the space holding it all. You are the presence behind the masks, behind the mirrors. And in that presence, there is no fear. There is no lack. There is only peace. Let it fill you now. Let it hold you, like night holds the stars. And let each breath be a gentle whisper. Nettie. Nettie. Not this, not that. Just here. Just now. Just you. Now, let's come back to something simpler than words. Before identity, before philosophy, before any mirror was placed in front of you, there is something that has always been with you. The breath. When everything else feels complicated or unclear, the breath remains gentle, patient, steady. It doesn't need to be named. It doesn't ask you to believe in it. It just returns again and again, like a friend who never leaves. Take a moment now and feel it. Inhale softly. Exhale even more softly. Feel how the breath rises without effort, falls without force. It was there before you had words. It will be there when words fall away. Each breath is older than your name. Each breath comes from a place untouched by opinion or praise or fear. If you pay quiet attention, you may sense that something within you is always aware of the breath, always watching, never speaking, just witnessing. This witness is not a personality. It has no agenda. It doesn't judge, compare, or plan. It just sees. And this seeing, this quiet, ever-present awareness, is who you were before the world named you. You were never your name. You were never your title. You were never the roles placed upon you, even the ones you learned to love. You were this breath, this awareness, this simple being. Can you feel that now? It's not a thought. It's not something you can grasp with effort. It's what's here when effort fades. It's what remains when trying ends. Imagine sitting by a still lake early in the morning. The surface is undisturbed. The reflections are clear. And underneath the surface, something deeper moves slow, steady, untroubled. Your breath is that lake. Your breath is that quiet beneath all motion. In this space, there is no need to remember who you're supposed to be. You are simply here. Each inhale gently reminds you you are alive. Each exhale softly says you are allowed to rest. This is what the Buddha referred to when he spoke of mindfulness, sati, the art of returning to presence without judgment, without reaching, without needing to become. It's not a technique to master, it's a coming home. And the doorway is breath. You might try now, just for a few moments, to let go of even the idea of progress. Let go of the wish to become calmer. Let go of the expectation that something special should happen. Just sit. Just breathe. Just be aware of this moment and notice, even without effort, even without thought, there is still life here. There is still peace. Sometimes the deepest peace is not in what we do. It's in what we stop doing. Stop fixing. Stop naming. Stop rehearsing your identity and come back to this breath. Right here, right now. No past, no future, no role. Just the soft movement of air. Just the quiet presence of being. This is what the Zen masters call the original face. The face you had before your parents were born. It is not a face made of features. It is made of openness, of stillness, of unshaped awareness. You don't need to visualize it. You don't need to understand it. You just need to be still enough to feel it. And as you sit in this stillness, this breath, this space before all roles, something inside begins to soften. You begin to remember a deeper truth. You were not born afraid. You were not born lacking. You were not born needing to earn your place in the world. You were simply born. And that was enough. That is enough. Let this breath remind you. Let it cradle you like a slow-moving stream in moonlight. Let it bring you back to yourself, to the witness, to the being who doesn't need a name to be real, to the breath before all stories, to the silence that listens kindly. And in that silence, you may find peace. You may find stillness. You may find you. You were not born afraid. This is important to remember, not as an idea, but as a deep knowing in your bones. Fear came later. Fear was taught, absorbed, shaped by the world around you. But you, the real you, began in peace. Watch any newborn. Before the world floods in, before the teachings of danger, competition, comparison, they lie there in trust. Every breath is complete. Every moment is enough. The world hasn't asked them to be anything yet. They just are. That was you once. And if it was once, then it still exists in you. It's just quiet now, buried under years of conditioning. But it's never gone. The Buddha said that our original nature is like the sky, vast, spacious, untouched by the passing clouds. Fear is a cloud. Worry, a cloud. Anger, shame, striving, each one passing across the sky of your awareness. But the sky itself is never harmed. You are still that sky. And somewhere inside you is a memory not of events, but of essence. A memory of safety. A memory of not needing to defend yourself. A memory of belonging to the moment. Do you remember a time when you felt completely safe? Maybe not often, maybe only briefly. Maybe in the arms of someone who loved you. Maybe under the stars alone, but not lonely. Maybe in silence where nothing was asked of you. That feeling is closer to who you truly are than any identity you've worn since, because you were not born with fear. Fear entered later like a shadow following light, and now we spend much of our lives trying to protect ourselves from fear. We're trying to avoid the conditions that once caused it. But what if we stopped running? What if we turned gently toward it and said, I see you, I understand, but you are not me. There is a story in the teachings where the Buddha encounters Mara, the personification of fear, doubt, temptation. And rather than rejecting Mara, the Buddha greets him as an old friend. Ah, Mara, he says, I see you. Come, let's have tea. This is the courage of awareness, not to fight fear, but to sit with it, to breathe with it, to know it will pass. Because fear, like everything else, is impermanent, and you are not. The you that watches fear is not afraid. The you that sees the waves is not drowning. The you that breathes through the storm is untouched by it. Let's take a breath together. Inhale, exhale, and feel the calm beneath the movement. Notice how even fear has a texture, a shape, but the awareness holding it open, spacious, soft. The Buddha taught, whatever has the nature to arise also has the nature to pass away. So tonight, if fear visits, you greet it kindly. Don't run. Don't resist. Let it be what it is, a guest passing through. And you, dear friend, are the host, the home, the presence. Still, gentle, awake. You were not born afraid. And that means fear does not define you. Yes, it may visit. Yes, it may speak. But it is not your name. It is not your truth. You are older than fear, more original than pain. You are the awareness that has watched every feeling come and go. You are the space that makes room for everything, but holds nothing too tightly. Can you feel that now? Not in thought, but in the breath. In the space between your ribs. In the pause between each inhale and exhale. That stillness is yours. That silence is your home. Fear may knock, but it cannot enter unless you open the door. And even then it cannot stay. Because the house is built of peace. And peace is who you were before anyone told you otherwise. Let that be your rest tonight. Let it hold you like a quiet sky. Let it remind you that you were never made of fear. You are made of presence. And presence is unafraid. There's an old story told softly in monasteries and passed down from teacher to student about a lake high in the mountains. This lake was known for one unusual thing. When the winds were still, its surface became so clear, so perfectly still, that it reflected the sky without a ripple. But when the wind stirred, or travelers threw stones into it, the lake turned cloudy. The sky was still above it, vast and undisturbed, but the reflection became distorted. The story was not about a lake, of course. It was about the mind. Your mind and mine. When we are quiet, truly quiet, the mind becomes a mirror that reflects things as they are, not how we wish them to be, not through the lens of memory or expectation, but simply as they are. Stillness reveals truth, but when the mind is agitated, when thoughts swirl, when judgments arise, the reflection breaks apart. The sky is still there, pure, open, vast, but we can no longer see it clearly. And just like that, we forget. We forget that peace is not something we earn. We forget that wisdom is not something outside us. We forget that our original nature is already enough. This is why the Buddha taught meditation not as an escape from the world, but as a way to remember who we truly are. Not as the storm of thoughts, but as the lake. Not as the wind, but as the stillness beneath it. Tonight you don't need to do anything grand. You don't need to become something more. You only need to sit quietly and let the surface settle. Each breath helps. Each moment of softness helps. You might imagine now that lake wide, silent, untouched. With each inhale, the winds soften. With each exhale, the ripples calm. And little by little, the water grows clear again. Let yourself rest in that stillness. You are not your thoughts. You are not the turbulence. You are the space in which they rise and fall. This is not a metaphor. This is an experience. You can feel it now if you're quiet enough. Just beneath the noise, there is peace. Not the peace of having all the answers. Not the peace of control, but the peace of allowing things to be as they are. A soft seeing, a deep listening, like a monk sitting by a mountainside, not needing anything to change. Just present, just awake. The world will try to stir your waters. It will throw stones. It will whisper names, identities, roles, stories. But if you do not react, if you do not grasp, the ripples will pass, and the sky will return. You are that sky. You are that lake. You are the awareness that reflects truth when stillness is allowed. And in that awareness, there is no striving, only clarity, only presence. This is why silence is so precious. Not the silence of an empty room, but the silence inside the space between thoughts, the calm after letting go. Tonight, rest there. Let the stories float like leaves across the water. Let your breath be the breeze that carries them gently away. You don't need to analyze. You don't need to fix. You only need to be here with this breath, with this stillness, with this deep remembering that when the lake is still, the sky is revealed. And the sky has always been there, waiting, watching, holding you. Not once has it left. Not once has it judged. It only reflects back to you what you are when all else falls away. So let everything fall. Let the ripples pass. Let the winds settle. Let the lake become still. And look, really look. Can you see it now? That quiet truth undisturbed by identity. That vastness unshaken by fear. That reflection of the sky, which is also you, just as you are. Before the world, before the name, before the chase, still, clear, enough. There's something almost instinctive in us that believes we are one solid, unchanging self. We say things like, "This is just who I am," or "I've always been like this," without ever questioning what exactly we're referring to. But if you look closely, gently, without force, you'll begin to see something different. You'll notice that what you call yourself is constantly changing. The body changes. Your thoughts change. Your moods shift like weather. Even your beliefs, your dreams, your habits, none of them stay fixed. So what then is the self? The Buddha often used the term anatta, not self. Not as a denial of existence, but as an invitation to examine what we assume to be me. He would gently guide people to see that what we hold as I is actually a collection of flowing temporary experiences, a flickering stream of consciousness, a rhythm of breath sensation, thought perception. There's a deep peace in realizing I am not a fixed thing. Because if you're not fixed, then you're not trapped. You don't have to cling to old stories. You don't have to wear the same mask forever. You don't have to carry the pain of a self that doesn't fit you anymore. You can let it change. You can let it soften. You can even let it dissolve. There's a metaphor used often in Buddhist teachings, the chariot. A chariot is made up of parts, wheels, axles, the frame, the yoke. Take away the parts, and the chariot disappears. It was never a solid thing. It was only a word used to describe a temporary arrangement. The same with you. You are not a thing. You are a flowing, a changing, a happening. And that's not scary. It's liberating. Imagine now a candle flame. It burns. You can see it. But is it the same flame from one second to the next? No. It's always new. It never holds still yet. It never disappears. You are like that. A moving miracle. The illusion of a solid self arises when we forget this constant motion. When we freeze the flow into an identity. But when you sit quietly, like now, and listen and feel, and watch, something becomes clear. There's nothing in you that stays fixed. Not your sensations. Not your thoughts. Not even your voice inside. And yet, awareness remains. That quiet space of knowing. The watcher of the flow. That is not a self in the way we usually think. It doesn't need a name. It doesn't ask for credit. It simply sees. And in seeing it freeze. You may notice as you become aware of this that a soft smile rises. Not because of any big realization, but because something in you already knew. You've always felt that you were more than your roles. You've always sensed there was something deeper than the chatter of the mind. And now, here it is, still, calm, untouched. Who you were before the world named you was never a fixed person. It was this awareness, this space, this breath. Try just now to set aside all the layers, the job title, the relationship roles, the age, the stories of success and failure. Let them float to the side like autumn leaves on water, and sit quietly in what remains. Feel it. This moment. This openness. This quiet beingness. It asks nothing of you. It doesn't need to be understood. It just is. And in that isness, you remember something beyond language. You were never meant to be a thing. You were meant to be free, like wind through trees, like light on water, like a breath moving gently without end. So let that breath be your anchor now. Let it guide you back, not to an identity, but to a truth. You are not a solid self. You are a mystery unfolding, a silence watching, a presence alive, and that is more than enough. There's a teaching the Buddha gave that often slips past the mind because it speaks not to logic, but to insight. He spoke of the 5 aggregates form: feeling, perception, mental formations, and consciousness. Together, they make up what we often think of as me. But the Buddha said, these are not the self. They are like rivers. 5 streams always moving. No single stream can be held. No combination of streams creates a permanent I. Yet still, we cling. We say, my body, my feelings, my thoughts, my ideas, my awareness. But if you examine these closely, you'll see something subtle, something liberating. None of them stay. Let's explore them gently one by one. Form, your body. It changes every day. It grows, softens, weakens, strengthens. It holds memory. It holds stress. But it is not you. You are not your skin. You are not your bones. You are not your posture or your weight or the shape of your hands. And yet you are here. Feeling. Sensations arise. Pleasure, pain, neutrality. They come and go like tides. Think of how many feelings you've had even in the past hour. They pass like clouds, sometimes gentle, sometimes stormy, but none of them stay. So how could they be you? Perception, the way your mind interprets what it sees, the lens through which you experience color, sound shape, and thought. It shifts with mood, with memory, with belief. You see one thing today, and tomorrow it seems different. Perception is fluid, not fixed. Mental formations, all the habits, thoughts, intentions, likes, and dislikes, all the inner chatter that says, I like this, I don't like that. These are built from past impressions. They arise from causes. They are not eternal, and yet we grasp at them like anchors. Consciousness, the awareness of experience. Even this, the Buddha said, is not a solid self. It arises dependent on contact between senses and objects. It too flows. So where then is the I? If everything that makes you feel like you is moving, changing, arising and passing what is left. The ancient texts offer a profound insight. There's no thing there. Only arising, only passing, only freedom in seeing clearly. You are not the rivers. You are the awareness of the rivers. You are not the contents of the stream. You are the silent witness on the bank, watching it all flow past. And the more you see, this not just as a concept, but as a lived truth, the lighter you feel. You no longer need to control everything. You no longer need to defend an identity. You no longer need to fear change because you see, change is not your enemy. Change is your nature. What a relief. You don't have to hold it all together anymore. You can let the rivers flow. You can trust that nothing permanent needs to be found, because the search for permanence is what creates suffering. Let the body be just a body. Let the thoughts be just thoughts. Let the moods come and go. And remain simply here, watching, breathing, resting. The Buddha taught that liberation is not somewhere far away. It is found in seeing clearly what is here. And when you see that everything you clung to as me is just passing, flowing, shifting, then you begin to smile. Not because life is always easy, but because the burden of pretending to be a fixed thing is gone. You are not broken. You are not lost. You are not a self in need of polishing. You are simply aware, soft, still. Let's pause here. Feel the breath enter again. Feel it leave, and say quietly within yourself, these 5 rivers are not me. I am free to let them flow. You don't need to control the stream. You only need to sit beside it, watch it, learn from it, and know with deep peace that the witness is enough. The presence is whole. The you before the world named you has never left. Imagine for a moment that your thoughts are a river, not a rapid one. A gentle, meandering stream. It moves naturally. It carries leaves, twigs sometimes, even clouds reflected on the surface. You sit by the riverbank and watch it flow. Some leaves catch your attention, beautiful shimmering in the sun. Others carry memories, worries, things said long ago. You notice a certain branch, it reminds you of a regret or a moment of pride. And for a while, you follow it downstream with your eyes. But eventually, if you stay still, you begin to see everything passes. No thought lingers forever. No emotion stays without end. Every impression, no matter how heavy it feels, moves on. And this is the truth. The Buddha gently offered. The mind is not the river. You are not the leaves. You are the one watching them pass. But we often forget. Instead of watching, we grab the leaves. We climb into the water. We chase after the reflections. We cling to a thought and say, this is me. This is who I am. And in that moment, we become entangled, not in truth, but in story. The path of returning to yourself begins with a simple act, letting the story pass through. It doesn't mean denying it. It doesn't mean rejecting your experience. It means sitting by the river of your mind and letting everything move just as it will. You are not here to wrestle your thoughts into silence. You are here to make peace with their movement, to sit quietly and say, this too is passing. There's a calm that arises when you no longer try to hold the flow. A joy even in realizing you don't have to fix every thought. You don't have to understand every feeling. You only have to watch. With kindness, with patience, with presence. That's what meditation really is, not the absence of thought, but the gentle practice of allowing thoughts to come and go without clinging, without fear. Can you do that now? Close your eyes for a moment if you haven't already. Let the breath flow naturally. Let the mind move how it wants to move. And instead of following each thought, just watch it. It might say, "What's for breakfast tomorrow?" It might whisper, "I should be doing better." It might bring up a memory, bright or painful. And to each one, you can say, "You are not me. You are a passing leaf." This is not detachment in the cold sense. This is love. Because you are no longer trapped by the need to grasp. You are no longer fooled into believing every story is your identity. You are returning to a deeper truth. You are the space the story moves through, not the story itself. Some stories will still pull at you. That's okay. Some will bring tears. Some may stir restlessness. Some may demand your attention with urgency. Let them pass. You are not broken if you feel them. You are only mistaken if you believe you are them. And with time, with gentleness, even the most gripping stories begin to soften. Their power fades, not because you fought them, but because you no longer feed them. There's a Tibetan teaching that says, thoughts are like thieves. They only steal your peace when you open the door. So tonight, don't lock the door. Just sit with it open. And when thoughts come knocking, nod gently. Let them pass through. No need to invite them for tea. You are not the host of every visitor. You are the stillness of the room. The breath in the background. The silence between words. The calm behind the curtain of thought. Let that be your home. Let that be your resting place. And if the story returns again, because it often does, just smile and remember, it's only a leaf. It's only a ripple. And you are the lake. You are the sky. You are the presence that never needs to cling. Let the story pass through. Let the breath remain. And rest once again in who you truly are. There comes a subtle but powerful shift in the heart when we no longer need to be seen. Not because we've withdrawn, not because we've given up, but because we've finally come home to ourselves. Can you remember a time when you felt the need to be noticed, to be acknowledged, praised, validated? It might have been in school, at work, in a relationship, even in spiritual practice. There's no shame in it. We all long to be seen. It's natural. A child cries, not just from hunger, but from the deeper need to be held, to be known. But as we grow, that longing becomes more complex. We begin to shape ourselves around it. We wear smiles to be liked. We hide pain to be admired. We overperform to be accepted. And little by little, we forget the simple joy of just being. The Buddha once said, "The one who seeks praise is like a traveler chasing the wind, always moving, never resting." When you live to be seen, your sense of self rises and falls with the gaze of others. If someone admires you, you shine. If someone misunderstands you, you shrink. You become like a leaf in the wind, beautiful, yes, but always at the mercy of where the breeze blows. But when you no longer need to be seen, a profound stillness arises. It's not indifference. It's not isolation. It's freedom. Freedom from performing. Freedom from chasing. Freedom from editing yourself in every interaction. You begin to live not as an image, but as a presence. You begin to taste a kind of peace that doesn't depend on anyone else's eyes. And here's the quiet secret. When you no longer seek to be seen, you finally see yourself, not as an idea, not as a performance, but as a gentle being, breathing aware enough. Can you feel that now? That shift from the outer to the inner, that return. Imagine sitting beneath a tree, alone, no one watching, no phone, no mirror, no audience, just the sound of leaves, the warmth of sun, the breath moving softly in your chest. Who are you in that moment? No one to impress, nothing to prove. No one saying you are this or that, just silence. And in that silence, something ancient stirs, a softness, a presence, a wholeness that never depended on being seen. You remember the one you were before you learned to please, before you tried to earn love, before you became a collection of roles and achievements. That one is still here, still breathing, still complete. The Buddha never tried to impress. He simply was, awake, present, available to the moment. And people gathered not because of his image, but because of his presence. You have that same light in you, not loud, not theatrical, but steady. And the more you rest in it, the more you begin to feel that peace return. You start to smile without needing a reason. You begin to enjoy the sound of silence. You realize that the deepest connection happens not when you're seen, but when you're fully present. To yourself, to the breath, to life as it is. This is what it means to stop performing, not to disappear, but to reappear fully. Without the layers, without the script, without the need. Tonight, I invite you into that space. Close your eyes. Take a breath. Let the stage fade. Let the lights dim. Let the crowd disappear and feel what's left. Not emptiness, fullness. The fullness of being without performance. The fullness of breath. The fullness of presence. You were never meant to live your life only to be seen. You were meant to see clearly, gently, deeply. And now you do. Now you are. Still. Whole. Unseen. Yet more real than ever. Once long ago, a gentle monk wandered into a remote mountain village. He wore no name, carried no possessions but his bowl, and never spoke unless asked. The villagers were curious. "Who are you?" they asked. But the monk only smiled. Some began calling him the Silent One. Others said he must be a sage. A few thought him a fool. Still, he never answered. And slowly, something strange began to happen. People started coming to sit with him. Not because he said anything, but because something about his presence felt like rest, like a deep exhale, like peace without effort. One day a child asked him, "Why don't you tell them your name?" The monk looked into her eyes and said, "Because every time I say a name, people forget to listen." That story may not be found in any ancient sutra, but it holds a truth many monks and practitioners know well. There is a depth within you that words only blur. This monk, nameless, quiet, radiant, had forgotten his name in the best possible way. Not because he lost it, but because he no longer needed it. He wasn't being mysterious. He wasn't trying to impress. He simply knew who he truly was could never be captured in sound. And maybe tonight, you can feel that too. There's a point in deep stillness where the mind softens its grip on labels, where the running thoughts grow quiet, where the long list of identities, worker, parent, seeker, sinner, saint, begin to fall away. And what remains is not blank. It's pure. It's awake. It's peaceful in a way that doesn't depend on knowing or naming. The monk in the story didn't teach with sermons. He taught with silence, with sitting, with being. And isn't that how the Buddha himself taught too? In his final days, he told his disciples not to cling even to his image, his words, or his form. Be a light unto yourselves, he said. He didn't say, be a better version of yourself. He said, be the light, the inner lamp, the knowing that doesn't need explaining. Tonight, in the hush of your own room, in the space between your breaths, can you feel it? Can you touch that quiet light inside? It doesn't say, I am this or I am that. It simply shines. The same light the monk carried in silence. The same light the Buddha knew under the Bodhi tree. And the same light that flickers softly in you. When you no longer need to be recognized or labeled or even understood, then like the monk, you return to something deeper than identity. You return to a presence that doesn't rise and fall with the opinions of others. You return to the simple truth of being. Try now, just for a few breaths, to set aside even your own name. Don't reject it. Just place it down. Like a traveler setting aside a heavy bag. Let yourself feel who you are without that sound. Not the name, not the story attached to it. Just you. Breathing, listening, being. There's something freeing in this forgetting. Not the forgetfulness of age or confusion, but the sacred forgetting that comes when stillness deepens. The kind that says, I don't need to remember who I'm supposed to be. Because in this moment, I already am. And that's enough. That's always been enough. Like the monk, you don't have to speak it. You don't have to explain it. You just sit, just breathe. And others may not understand it. They may ask, who are you? And like him, maybe you'll only smile. Because now, you know what you are can't be named, but it can be felt. It can be lived. It can be returned to again and again in silence. So let yourself return now to that deep quiet, to that soft glow, to the presence beneath the name. You've never really left. You only forgot. And now, gently, like light filtering through the trees, you remember. Let's return for a moment to that stillness behind your breath. It may feel ordinary, so soft, so subtle, but it holds something ancient, something older than your name, older than your body, older even than thought. That stillness is the same awareness that was there before anyone said you are this or you should be that. Before the world arrived with its opinions, comparisons, demands, you were here. Whole, quiet, awake. And though the years may have pulled you into roles, though life may have wrapped layers around you, that original presence has never disappeared. You were here before anyone gave you a reason to try. Before you needed to prove anything. Before you measured your worth. And you are still here, still breathing, still alive. There's something deeply healing about remembering this. It doesn't change your past. It doesn't erase the stories, but it loosens their grip. Because when you begin to remember who you were before the world named you, something shifts. The pressure to perform lessens. The need to impress dissolves. The grasping starts to soften. You realize that underneath everything you've learned to be there is something that simply is. Let's sit with that. Take a breath now. Not a deep one. Just natural. Let the breath come and go like waves. Feel your presence as you breathe. You are not becoming. You are not achieving. You are simply being. And in this being, there is nothing missing. In fact, there never was. The Buddha once taught the cause of suffering is grasping. But what is it we grasp? Often it's the idea of ourselves. We grasp at who we think we should be. We grasp at what others think we are. We grasp at images, identities, roles, and wonder why we feel tired. The more tightly we hold these ideas, the more distant we feel from peace. But when we gently loosen our grip, when we stop trying to define ourselves so clearly, when we stop chasing the perfect version of who we imagine we should be, something tender reveals itself. That presence you felt as a child sitting in sunlight. That quiet self that once gazed at the moon, not needing to explain anything. That gentle awareness that simply experienced the world without story, without filter. It's still in you. Still intact. Still waiting to be remembered. You were here before the world said your name. You were here before you knew what success meant. You were here before fear taught you to shrink. And you'll still be here when those things pass. Because awareness doesn't age. It doesn't wear out. It is the one constant in a world of movement. It is your true home. So if your mind is busy now, that's okay. If thoughts arise, memories, worries, resistance, let them. Let them be part of the movement. You don't have to silence the waves. You only have to remember, you are not the waves. You are the ocean beneath them. And that ocean has always been calm, even when the surface churns. Tonight, as you listen, let yourself rest in that depth. Let the outer layers fall away, not by force, but by recognition. Let yourself remember, you were here before anyone said who you were. You were not the roles, not the achievements, not the failures, not the dreams. You were the space all of that happened in, still are, and in this moment, with nothing to hold, you are completely whole. Feel that now. Let it move through you like a slow breeze. Let it settle into your bones like the hush of twilight. You are not your story. You are not even the one telling it. You are the stillness that listens. You are the breath that continues even when you forget to notice. You are the presence before everything else. And here in this quiet, you are finally home. There's a question whispered in Zen temples across centuries. Not shouted, not explained, just offered, like a single drop of water falling into stillness. What is your original face? Before your parents were born, it's not meant to be answered with words. It's meant to stop the mind, to shake loose the usual thoughts, stories, and self-concepts we carry around. Who were you before memory? Before even the idea of me? When the question lands softly in your chest, something begins to open not toward analysis, but toward wonder. Because this question isn't asking you to figure anything out. It's inviting you to return. Return to something timeless, to the essence before language, to the awareness that looked out through your eyes before you knew how to describe what you saw, before you tried to be good, before you feared being bad, before right and wrong shaped your identity. There was just seeing, just feeling, just being. The original face isn't a mystical concept. It's what remains when you stop trying to be anyone at all. It is what looks out from behind your eyes even now, and it never left. Let's take a few moments now to sit quietly with this. No effort, no answers, just breath and presence. Let the mind rest. Let the question linger. What is your original face? Don't rush to define it. Let the silence speak. Let the breath remind you. Let the not knowing become sacred. Because sometimes the most truthful thing we can say is, I don't know who I am. And that's okay. That's more than okay. That's the beginning of real freedom. You've spent so many years trying to become someone, trying to grow, to heal, to find your voice, to be better. And perhaps all of that has helped. But beneath the becoming is a presence that was never lacking, never wounded, never separate from the sacred. That presence is your original face. It doesn't need to prove itself. It doesn't need to speak loudly. It doesn't need a role. It simply is. It smiles when you smile. It breathes when you forget. It watches your thoughts but never judges. It was here before your first word. It will be here after your final one. And if you are quiet enough, you can feel it now, like the gentle glow behind your eyes, like the quiet that holds this very moment. Let go of trying to define it. Let go of needing to describe it. Let it hold you. Let it be enough. In the story of the Zen Koan, when the student asks about the original face, sometimes the master says nothing. Sometimes he just lifts a finger. Sometimes he shouts. Sometimes he smiles. Each response is meant to break the mind's habit of grasping, because the truth is never far. It's not in the clouds. It's not in the scriptures. It's right here, this moment, this breath, this awareness. Can you feel it beneath your thoughts, beneath your plans, beneath even your hopes of awakening? There is something still, something gentle, something ancient, and it has no name. It doesn't need one, because what it is cannot be spoken, only lived, only known by being. So tonight, let's be that. Not the seeker, not the thinker, not the doer, just being, face to face with what we've always been. Quiet, complete, unshaped, present. The original face was never far. It has always been right here, behind your smile, inside your silence, watching, waiting, home. Close your eyes for a moment if you haven't already. Let the outer world soften. Let the background noises fade. Let yourself turn inward, not away from life, but toward the very center of it. Now imagine, not with the eyes of the mind, but with the stillness of the heart, that there is a quiet cave nestled deep inside your chest, not made of stone, not dark or cold, but warm, silent, still. This is the cave of your heart, not the physical organ, not even the emotional center, but the innermost refuge, the space untouched by story, untouched by time. This place exists beyond personality, beyond roles, beyond even desire, and it has been with you always. It is the place the world cannot reach, where no judgment can enter, where no failure can stick, where no praise can distort. In the ancient Buddhist texts, there is a word for this hridaya, the heart not as emotion, but as essence, the place from which wisdom, compassion, and presence arise. When you sit in this cave, you are no longer anyone in particular. You're not your job, not your age, not your past, not even your thoughts. You are simply aware. And in that awareness, there is peace. Can you sense it now? Not as an idea, but as a quiet knowing. The stillness behind the breath, the warmth that doesn't come from fire, the softness that doesn't need to be earned. This is where the Buddha sat. Not in some far-off forest, but in this same cave of stillness that you carry within you. It's here that clarity arises. Here that love becomes effortless. Here that the struggle to be someone begins to fade. Because in this cave, there's no need to wear anything. No need to explain. No need to hold it all together. Here everything is already whole. Take a breath and imagine yourself sitting in that space now. You don't need to picture it in great detail. Just feel the subtle shift that happens when you stop trying to reach outward and instead begin to rest inward. Let the body soften. Let the mind quiet. Let yourself be gathered not by effort, but by return. Here in this cave, no thought is a threat. No memory is too heavy. No fear is too loud. Everything is held. Everything is allowed. Everything can breathe. This is your original sanctuary. And no matter how far you've wandered, it's always here. Just beneath the noise. Just beneath the story. Just beneath the surface. A teacher once said, if you don't go within, you go without. And what is it we go without? Peace. Rest. Truth. Not the kind of truth that needs defending, but the kind of truth that feels like home. The cave of your heart holds this truth. And the more often you visit, the less the world can shake you. Not because you become hard, but because you become real, rooted, alive, still. You no longer need to react to every ripple on the surface. You can sit in the cave and let the ripples pass. You can return again and again to this quiet, this breath, this center. Let yourself feel it now. Maybe for the first time in days. Maybe for the first time ever. And remember, this cave is not a concept. It is not an escape. It is a return to who you were before the world named you, before the noise, before the striving, before the masks. It is you, the real you, and that realness is not made of words. It is made of presence, and presence does not need to be seen. It only needs to be remembered. So come home now, to the cave of your heart. Sit here, breathe here, be here. Everything you thought you needed to find is already here. And it has been waiting for you all along. Some truths are too soft for language, too quiet to be shouted. They arrive not in grand declarations, but in subtle moments, when everything else falls silent. In the heart of that silence, there is something like a bell. Not a bell you can hear with your ears, not one you strike with wood or metal, but a soundless bell, a bell of presence. It does not ring to call attention. It rings in the absence of everything else. It rings when you are completely here, not pulled into the past, not leaning into the future, not trying to be anything other than awake. This bell is not made of vibration. It's made of knowing. Not knowing as information, but knowing as being. Knowing as the simple, unmistakable sense I am here. The great teachers sometimes called it tathata thusness, suchness, the isness of what is. No story, no label, no separation. Just this, just now. You've likely heard it before, even if you didn't know its name. Maybe in the hush, after someone said I love you and meant it. Maybe in the moment your child fell asleep against your chest. Maybe while watching waves roll in one after another under a sky that didn't ask questions. Maybe tonight right now. That subtle recognition this moment is complete. That's the soundless bell, and you don't have to earn it. You don't have to meditate for hours or study ancient texts. You only have to be still enough to hear it, still enough to let the mind settle, still enough to let the need for more begin to fade. In the Buddha's own journey, the deepest realizations didn't come through effort. They came through release, through stopping, through deep listening, and what he heard was not a voice. It was the bell of presence, this clear, wordless knowing. Everything I seek is already here. Everything I need is already inside. Let yourself feel it now. Let go of trying to understand. Let go of the search. Let go of even trying to be present, and just let presence be. Let awareness arise like a mountain rising from fog, solid, still, already here. This moment, this breath is the bell, and it rings without sound, not because it's missing, but because it's beyond sound, beyond form, beyond even you. There's a deep joy in realizing that presence doesn't ask anything from you. It doesn't need you to be better. It doesn't need you to succeed. It only invites you to stop leaving, to stop leaning away, to come back, and maybe for the first time in a long time, to be at rest. Just rest. Let the breath return you. Let the silence hold you. No need to fill it. No need to break it. Just feel it. Here is the moment. Here is the stillness. Here is the truth that needs no words. Sometimes in meditation halls, a bell is struck to begin and end the sitting. But the real bell never stops ringing. It is always present, always calling you home, not with sound, but with stillness. And the more you listen, the louder it becomes, not in volume, but in clarity, not in noise, but in peace. You are not separate from this bell. You are not the one listening to it. You are it. You are the presence. You are the stillness. You are the awareness that watches, listens, allows. And in this moment, that is more than enough. That is everything. So stay here a while longer. No need to move. No need to rise. Just let the soundless bell ring through your body, through your thoughts, through the space behind your name, and let it say, without saying, you are already home. Picture yourself now not as a person defined by name or title, but as something lighter, more spacious. A cloud drifting across a boundless sky. A leaf floating in a stream, not rushed, not resisting. You are not fixed. You are not stiff. You are not bound by identity. This is what it means to float without identity. To live in the world gently. To meet each moment fully, yet without clinging to a definition of who you are. This is not disappearance. It's presence purified. Most of us have lived our whole lives, building an idea of me. We've gathered stories, roles, memories, opinions, woven them into a tapestry, and called it self. And when the world asks, "Who are you?" we point to the tapestry. But the Buddha invites us to set the tapestry down, not to burn it, not to reject it, just to stop identifying with it, to see, this is not me, this is not mine, this is not myself. And when you do, something remarkable happens. The world becomes softer. You become lighter, and life flows through you instead of clinging to you. You are no longer trying to protect the tapestry. You are no longer defending a shape. You become like water, taking the form of each moment, but never trapped by it. The Buddha walked this way. He spoke when speech was needed. He was silent when silence was wiser. He lived with the world, not apart from it, but never lost in it. He ate, he walked, he laughed, he grieved, but he did not mistake those actions for who he was. He was simply present, empty of identity, full of life. Imagine that now. Waking up tomorrow with no need to prove anything. Going through your day not from ego, but from awareness. Meeting joy without trying to possess it. Meeting sadness without trying to escape it. Letting life flow. Letting people think what they will. Letting the wind blow through the spaces in you that used to feel solid, and knowing deeply that none of it defines you. Because how can the sky be defined by the clouds? How can the ocean be defined by a single wave? You are not the moment. You are what allows the moment to arise and pass. And when you live this way, not as a fixed self, but as flowing presence, you begin to taste freedom. Real freedom. Not the freedom of having no responsibilities, but the freedom of having no false self to defend. You float gently through the day. You listen more. You speak less. You see clearly. And when someone says something harsh, you may feel it, but it passes through. You don't hold it. You don't build an identity around it. You are the sky. You are the space. You are the witness of it all. This is not detachment. This is intimacy. Because only when you stop grasping can you fully touch the world. Only when you let go of me can you truly see this. Try it now. Breathe in. Let the breath come without naming it. Breathe out. Let the breath go without holding it. Notice what remains. Stillness, softness. You. Not the person, not the performer. Just awareness. Drifting. Listening. Alive. You don't have to be anyone tonight. You don't have to carry the shape the world gave you. You can float, not aimless, not lost, but free. Because your true nature doesn't need a shape to be real. It is real because it is here. It is real because it is now. So float softly into this moment. Let the story pause. Let the striving rest. Let the shape of identity melt into space. And in its place, feel what you truly are. A breath, a presence, a mystery that needs no explanation. Something beautiful begins to bloom in us when identity softens not the loss of self, but the arising of compassion. When you no longer cling to a fixed idea of who you are, you begin to see others more clearly too, not as roles, not as enemies, not even as characters in your story, but simply as beings just like you, breathing, feeling, changing, hurting, healing. And in that seeing, something deep awakens a tenderness, a warmth, a kind of love that doesn't demand, doesn't judge, doesn't need to win. This is compassion, not from superiority, but from shared being. The Buddha said, seeing the suffering of others as not separate from your own, the heart naturally wishes to help. But this is only possible when the self isn't so tightly held. Because the more fixed you are in me, the more you see them. You become caught in comparison, in defense, in separation. But when the walls of me begin to soften, the distance between you and another dissolves. You no longer ask, what do I get? But instead, how can I ease this? Not as sacrifice, not as duty, but as a natural movement of the heart, like a flower turning toward sunlight, like water flowing downhill. You do not force compassion, you uncover it. It is already here, beneath the layers of protection, the masks, the fear of being misunderstood. And when you let go of needing to be someone, you begin to see everyone. A stranger crying becomes familiar. A harsh word softens into pain expressed poorly. A friend's silence becomes understandable. Because you're no longer filtering others through the lens of your ego. You're meeting them from the space of presence. And presence is always kind. It sees the shared fragility. It knows how hard it is to be human. And so, it doesn't rush to judge. It pauses. It breathes. It listens. You might try that now. Think of someone difficult. Not the worst person, just someone who makes your heart tighten. And instead of replaying what they did, imagine their breath. Inhale. Exhale. Just like you. They too want peace. They too carry old stories. They too were once children looking for warmth in a cold world. Can you feel that? Not to excuse, not to forget, but to see clearly. Because only through clarity does true compassion arise, and only through compassion does freedom become complete. The Buddha's awakening didn't end with insight. It bloomed into care for all beings. He didn't retreat into silence forever. He walked. He taught. He held the sick. He fed the hungry. He spoke with kings and beggars alike, not because he had to, but because when the illusion of separateness falls away, you can't help but respond with love. So let your own identity soften a little more tonight, not to disappear, but to make room. Room for kindness. Room for understanding. Room for the simple truth that we are not so different. Each of us searching, stumbling, learning, forgetting, remembering. And in that, there is beauty. There is connection. There is the beginning of a world that doesn't just strive, but also cares. And it begins in you. Not through effort, but through presence. Let your presence be your offering. Let your softness be your gift. Let your breath carry compassion, like incense through a quiet room. And know that when identity softens, the heart begins to see clearly. The walls fall, and love walks in, not loud, not bright, but real. Exactly as you are. Right here, right now. If you were to hold your hand up to the sky, fingers spread, and try to grasp the wind, what would you catch? Nothing. Not because the wind isn't real, but because it can't be held. It can only be felt, moved with, trusted. That's what you are too. You are the space, not the shape. But we spend so much of our lives trying to shape ourselves. We try to become someone clear, someone solid, someone explainable. We define ourselves by achievements, memories, appearance, beliefs, until we forget that the truest part of us was never a shape to begin with. The truest part of you has always been spacious, open, changeable, alive, the same way the sky holds the clouds without ever becoming them, the same way a bowl holds soup, but is not the soup, the same way the sea holds waves, but each wave is new, passing gone. Your emotions rise. Your thoughts change. Your body shifts. But you, the awareness that holds it all, that space remains. And space, dear friend, is not fragile. It doesn't cling. It doesn't defend. It simply allows. That's what makes it powerful and peaceful. Can you feel the difference now between being a shape, something defined, rigid, in need of maintenance, and being a space, vast, forgiving, free? When you are identified with the shape, every change feels like a threat. A wrinkle becomes a crisis. A disagreement becomes personal. A failure becomes an identity. But when you are resting as space, you begin to see these are just clouds, just weather. You don't need to hold on. You don't need to become them. You can let them pass. And in that allowing, you are at peace. Because nothing real in you is ever damaged by what passes through. The space remains. The sky is never harmed by the storm. And the you that is aware the spacious observing presence remains untouched too. This is why in meditation we practice watching the breath. Not because the breath is magical, but because watching helps us remember that we are not the breath. We are the space in which the breath arises. Just like thoughts, just like feelings, all of them passing guests, all of them welcomed seen but not clung to. You are not the guests. You are the house, and the house remains. Try this now. Sit with your breath. Let your thoughts be free. If they come, let them come. If they go, let them go. No pushing, no pulling. Just space. Soft, kind, clear. And as you watch, notice a thought says, I should be better. But you are not that thought. A memory rises saying, you messed up before. But you are not that memory. Even the feeling of being unworthy is just a cloud. And you are the sky. The space. You are the one who can witness without judgment. You are the one who can remain open even when the moment feels hard. And in that openness is freedom. Not because everything is perfect, but because you are no longer trying to hold it all in place. You are no longer trying to be a fixed shape. You are resting as space. This is what the Buddha meant when he said the mind is luminous even when defilements pass through it. He didn't say we are broken. He said we are vast. And when you live as space, something else happens too. You begin to hold others more gently. You stop expecting them to be fixed. You stop needing them to match your picture. You allow them to change, to rise, to fall, just like clouds, just like you. And love grows deeper, not because people become better, but because you no longer require them to be something they're not. You love from space, from silence, from freedom. And it all begins with remembering. You are not the shape. You are the space that holds it. You are not the storm. You are the sky. Let that truth be your rest tonight. Let it widen in your heart. Let it free you from the pressure to be someone. You already are. And that is enough. When all the striving quiets, when the stories have run their course, when the names no longer hold weight, there is something that still remains. It isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. But if you listen closely with the ears of the heart, you'll feel it. It is the silence that knows you, not as an idea, not as a role, but as a being. This silence isn't emptiness. It's fullness without weight. It's awareness without words. It's the part of you that has never once asked, am I enough? Because it already knows you are. The world often teaches us that to be valuable, we must be visible. That to matter, we must be heard. But the deepest truths don't make noise. They settle. They hold. They wait. The silence has been with you from the beginning. Before your first memory. Before your first word. Before anyone told you what to believe. And it will be with you until the end. The Buddha did not always answer every question. Sometimes when asked about the nature of the soul, or the cosmos, or the self, he remained silent. Not because he didn't know, but because silence was the most honest answer. Because some things cannot be said. They can only be known, felt, lived. The silence within you is not absence. It is presence. It is not ignorance. It is wisdom beyond words. It is the ground you stand on when the world stops making sense. It is the soft place inside that isn't moved by praise or blame. It is the peace that rises when you stop trying to understand everything. You may have touched this silence before, in moments of awe, watching the sky change colors at dusk, sitting beside someone you love not needing to speak, hearing a song that stops your thoughts. That pause, that stillness isn't outside you. It's who you are. You've simply forgotten because the world is loud, because identity is sticky, because survival taught you to stay busy. But now, it's quiet again, and the silence is here, listening, holding you, reminding you. You are not the noise. You are not the image. You are not the thoughts passing by. You are the one who hears, the one who knows, the one who simply is. And in that being there is peace beyond words. You don't need to earn it. You don't need to hold it. You only need to recognize it. Feel it now. Let the silence settle around you like night air. Let it rest on your skin. Let it move through your breath. This silence has never asked you to improve. It only asks you to stop running, to sit, to listen, to come home. The knowing that lives in silence doesn't explain itself. It doesn't compete. It doesn't rush. It simply sees. And in that seeing, everything softens. All effort becomes still. All comparison fades. And you remember, you are not here to become someone. You are here to remember what you already are. And what you are is vast, quiet, aware, beyond name, beyond thought, beyond the world. Let this silence be your friend. Let it be your refuge. Let it be your guide when nothing else makes sense. Because when all else falls away, when even the breath pauses, when even your name is forgotten, the silence remains, and it still knows you. Always has. Always will. The journey, as it turns out, doesn't take us far. We go in search of answers. We climb the mountains of philosophy. We wander through books, teachers, memories, mistakes. We gather teachings like stones in a bowl, trying to weigh ourselves down with enough meaning to feel whole. But in the end, we return, not to a place, not to an idea, but to something wordless that has always been with us. A presence, a breath, a being. And in that return, there is no fanfare, no spotlight, no final revelation. Only a soft, steady recognition you are home. Not because you've become anything, but because you've stopped trying, stopped performing, stopped defining, stopped holding the mirror up to yourself asking, is this enough yet? And the answer whispered through the stillness of the body and the quiet of the mind is, it always was. You are not the thoughts still drifting through the mind. You are not the emotions that rise and fall like tides. You are not the image you've carefully built or the one others project onto you. You are something simpler, something softer. You are presence. You are the space that holds it all without clinging to any of it. And when you rest here, really rest, there is no longer any need to ask who you are. Because you see, with the clarity of dawn, you were never lost, only distracted. You were never lacking, only believing a story. You were never separate, only dreaming a little dream of being alone. The Buddha called this awakening not because it makes you different, but because it returns you to what is most natural. Not the self you try to become, but the self that is no self. The one that listens, the one that watches, the one that breathes. Let yourself dwell in that now. No more chasing. No more explanation. Just this breath, this body, this space, the wind moving gently through the trees outside your window, the steady beating of your heart, the softness behind your eyes, Nothing is missing. No role left to play. No final answer needed. You've arrived not at a destination, but at a knowing. A quiet confidence that doesn't need to be spoken. A stillness that doesn't need to be understood, only lived. So let yourself live it. Let this presence flow into your ordinary moments. Let it walk with you tomorrow. Let it speak through your silence, act through your kindness, shine through your listening. No one may notice the difference, but you will. Because you'll know I am not the world's idea of me. I am not even my own idea of me. I am that which watches both rise and fall. I am here. I am home. And here in this gentle space before dreams take you, let this truth settle like a blanket over your heart. You were never anything but whole. You were never anything but loved. You were never anything but free. Welcome home. Welcome back. Welcome to the place before the world named you. Now rest, dear one. Everything is okay now. Everything is enough. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Namo Amitabha Buddha. Let everything slow now. The words, the thoughts, even the breath. Let it stretch out like a river nearing the sea, wide open still. You've journeyed far, tonight not through distance, but through layers. Layer by layer, you gently removed the masks, gently laid down the weight, and arrived at the softest truth of all that your being is already complete. There's no more effort needed now. No more trying to understand. No more wondering if you're doing this right. You are here, and presence, pure presence, is more than enough. Let this final silence wrap around you. Let the rhythm of your breath deepen. If thoughts still pass by, let them. If sleep begins to arrive, welcome it gently. The world will wait. For now, you have returned to yourself. You are the stillness. You are the watcher. You are the quiet that knows. The journey is over, and nothing was ever missing. So rest now. Rest in the peace of your own unspoken name. Rest in the breath that continues with or without trying. Rest in the space that cannot be harmed, hurried, or held. Everything is okay. Everything is safe. You are home. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a peaceful night.